Hello everybody, Mannix here. Got a little knife review for you right here, right now. But first, feel free to subscribe, hit that little bell notification if you do not want to miss weekly knife and gun videos. This one's on a guy I got a few years ago, and I don't believe it's being produced anymore, but I think it's still pretty cool. It is the CRKT Golf. It is a beast. It's a tank of a blade. RMJ tactical design. Dude's known for his tomahawk work, if I'm not utterly mistaken. It's certainly something different. It's a big, heavy-ass folding knife, and it's blacktical to the extreme. Filming this mid-late 2024, and as far as I've seen, there are still a handful of these left for sale for $60 to $80 or so, somewhere around $70. That's about what I recall paying back in the day. But these retail at $99.99, or at least they used to. Let's just get the specs out of the way real quick. Overall length of 9.5 inches. The handle length, or closed length, is 5.5 inches, making the blade, you guessed it, 4 inches. Good job. Handle thickness is 0.52 inches, so it's a bit of a chunky monkey. Not super thick or anything, but it's, it's not what I would call a slim knife. Blade thickness, 0.13 inches. 8CR13 MOV blade steel, G10 handle scales. We have full stainless steel liners that are not skeletonized. Tip up loop over pocket clip, swappable to the left side. We got the dual thumb studs on the blade. Liner lock. I still consider it to be an overall ambidextrous folder, but liner locks are lopsided, so take that for what it's worth. Weighs 8.06 ounces according to knifeworks.com. Flat grind on this clip point style blade, and it's what I believe is known as a black wash finish. Anything that's tumbled I tend to melt for, and it's blackened too, so that'll help even more so for corrosion and rust resistance, all that good stuff. So let's just see how this dude weighs. 8.08. Okay, wow, they're actually pretty close there. Just about exact, actually. Wow. Certainly not a lightweight. It's a heavy, big, chunky knife. Again, 4-inch blade, just about 8 ounces. So it's heavy. That has a lot to do with those steel liners right there, as well as the G10. G10 is surprisingly heavy. It's very dense material when it's layered up like that. Big old, thick, massive, wide-ass blade. So what you see is kind of what you get. I like how they have a flathead for the pivot screw. It just kind of adds to the industrial look this knife has going for it. It's just cool, and I like how I can actually adjust it with pretty much anything. You can get a penny or something if you want, probably could adjust that. They also don't strip as bad. So I kind of wish more knives, honestly, would just use flatheads or even Phillips heads, but we are still using Torx heads for the body screws. So I like how the pocket clip is nice and flush, nested within the handle. Check that out. I love that. Good job, CRKT, for doing that. There's a nice little cutout, nice and crisp within the G10 handle scale. So you can slip that sucker right in there so you don't have to worry about it like wiggling around on the top of it. It's nice and flush nested in there. Perfect. And then we have flush screw heads in there for the pocket clip as well. They're different types in comparison to the regular kind of rounded heads we're seeing as the body screws. Very, very nice touch. That keeps it nice and flush and nested, as you can see, so it's not bumping up against your pocket. Tension is perfect. It's a little bit on the looser side, but honestly, I've had no issues with it because it's nice and low, nice and snug. So no issues with this pocket clip. It carries like a dream. I kind of like the way it looks. It's very simple, almost kind of spoon shaped, but the black wash, whatever tumbled finish they have going on this guy is very similar. It mimics the blade finish. So a lot of attention to detail on this guy, believe it or not. It's just really cool, really simple, really good looking. And on this, what I'm assuming is a stainless steel backspacer, I like these ridges they have in here. It's like jimping as well. It's like a spine or something. That's really, really cool looking too. I love it when knife companies do that. CRKT's done it a handful of times. Again, probably also the black wash finish on there as well. So there's a lot of attention to detail despite it being very simple, but it's a massive, big, heavy knife. This traction on the G10, I'd call it higher traction actually than most G10 I feel. It's a little bit on the grippier side. I like that. I love high traction on folders. No issues with it extracting out of the pocket clip. It's not that aggressive or anything, but I love these thumb studs too. Just simple cylinders. They're not tapered or cone shaped or anything. It's literally just a cylinder, and then it's also jimped or checkered, if you will, which mimics the same checkering on the pivot screw. That's also pretty cool. Again, lots of like repetition. Nice cutouts on the liner, just like most liners have. We got a big old nice cutout in the G10 exposing the liner, so no issues disengaging it. No issues deploying it. It's not on ball bearings. This knife was made, I think it's just a little bit before those ball bearings started getting popularized, or somewhere around there before they were more normalized, I should say. But I have no issues deploying it, even though it's such a big, wide, heavy, fat blade. It flicks out with almost no wrist movement. I was going to say no wrist movement, but you saw the fail right there. Very, very smooth, and you can open it manually. It's not assisted, totally manual. Nice lockup on here, despite being a liner lock. It has a very, very good lockup, no up and down. No side to side from what I'm detecting on this either. I didn't even oil this up or use this knife in a while. Ergos are nice. There's no like crazy choils on here or anything. I would not call it an ergonomic handle, so to speak, because it's very, very simple, just curved, but it mimics the curvature of the blade as well. It's comfortable enough. I would certainly not call it an uncomfortable knife by any means, because it's a very versatile handle design, so you can grip this in pretty much any position you'd like, and you'd be just fine. You could bite down on there on the butt, the handle as well. So we got good lockup, very good. I would give it like an A, not an A plus because it's not on ball bearings, but solid A for deployment on there. Strong, even though it is a liner lock, that is the one hit I'll give this knife. I mean, for such a big, heavy knife that you'd think would be for hard work, you'd think they throw a stronger locking mechanism on there, but because it's executed well, I'm gonna forgive it. It is kind of a thin liner, but whatever. Even for tactical use, I think liner locks are fine. When you start getting into like really hard use, that's another story, but as a tactical knife, that's okay. It is heavy, and I like that about it. It's just cool. I like heavy knives sometimes. Functionally, no, I'd rather just have a lighter weight knife, but we're talking a couple ounces, not pounds. It's not going to weigh you down, I don't think, the knife alone. Some people say every ounce counts, and that's true in like super tactical military type SWAT ninja commando situations, I suppose, but just everyday dude just carrying a knife, I really, really do not give a shit about the weight. It does not bother me one bit, honestly. Again, we're talking ounces, not pounds, but that's just me. It's not the most efficient knife as far as weight is concerned, but I just think it's cool. If they did like drill out some holes in here in the liners anyway, we would probably shave off a couple of ounces, maybe bring it down to 6 or so. Yeah, that would be better, but we'd drive the price up a little bit too. And the 8CR13 MOV blade steel with the roughly $70 price range, as I'm filming this right now anyway, some people are going to get turned off by that immediately. Yeah, it's not the best blade steel in the world. It's really, really soft, and it gets hella sharp really easily, and it's really cheap to work with too. But that's a problem. It's cheap. And at this price range, a lot of people would at least be expecting maybe like a US 10 at the very least, this day and age anyway. But it is 8CR13 MOV. That's what you get. You know, it's just kind of a softer steel because we're just getting these big old heavy slabs of G10 and the steel in there, and a thick sheer amount of steel on this 8CR13 MOV blade anyway. I don't think it's too expensive. I would not call it a great deal, but it's not ridiculous. You know, it is what it is. If you want a knife that looks like this, that'll have a good lockup, that'll be strong, that's grippy, a good tactical blade, you just want something beefy, heavy, chunky, and just cool. Just badass. This is the knife. It's a really, really cool. I like it. I love this blade shape too. This big, stout clip point. It's gonna be great for piercing, great for slashing. EDC in general, yeah, sure. It's a little bit cumbersome. It's a little bit big and heavy, but it's just fine. And because we're on kind of a cant, it's gonna slightly help that chopping motion. It'll accelerate that just a little bit as well. And I do like how versatile and simple it is. I like the jimping on the spine right here that kind of mimics the jimping, which mimics the jimping on the backspacer. Again, there's so much repetition and attention to detail everywhere. It's a knife that kind of went under the radar when it was being produced anyway. I didn't see a whole lot of people talking about it, and I think I can kind of see why. You know, it's not very efficient. It's heavy, it's chunky, it's an 8CR13 MOV blade, and it's like $70. That turns a lot of people off immediately. They want to get a higher quality blade steel. Yeah, I could see that, although I don't really care that much about blade steel and knives as long as the heat treatment's good and the blade steel is good enough. Personally, I don't care that much, but I can kind of see why. It's not super efficient. You know, it's not a great deal. It's not on ball bearing. It doesn't have a shaft lock. It's a little bit behind, but it's no longer being made, you know, so I can't exactly say, hey, CRKT, can you adjust these things? They stopped making this a while ago, so it just is what it is. By the way, lanyard hole. There's nothing really else I could say about it, other than, you know, yeah, it could have been a little lighter. They could have went with maybe a frame lock or something, but the price would go up, you know, and even if you update that blade steel, yeah, you're going to look at maybe a $90 knife or even a $100 knife at that point. And as time goes on, and assuming CRKT continues to no longer make this knife, that price is just going to keep going up if you do find this thing used. Law of entropy, you know, that goes. Overall, it's a knife that I really, really like. It's a really cool tactical blade. It's just cool. I really, really think it's awesome. Very simple, very cool. Kind of an underdog tactical blade. So there you go. That is the CRKT Golf once again. I say once again because I did a review on this guy a few years ago, but figure now that I got some better audio and visual quality, I'd show it again to you guys. So thanks so much for watching. Mannix out.